Oh yeah, there's coarse gold in here. Look at that. Look at that. And it all just sits down the bottom. That's unreal. Why is there so much gold here? What's up guys, my name is Chris from Vo-Gus Prospecting. If you're new to the channel, a big warm welcome, and if you're an old multi head like this one, welcome back. Today I'm out for the first time with the XP bidet pan. Bidet pan? Bidet, it's not a bidet. Today I'm out using the XP bidet pan for the very first time, and I just wanted to give you guys a first impressions video, but something amazing happened on my very first pan. Check this out. This is an old creek bed, so it's ancient. We've had a lot of rain recently and we've got big standing puddles, so I'm able to come along here and do some work. Grabbed my yabby pump, sucked about 10 or 15 little yabby pumps out of the bottom there, and I've panned down to the concentrates. You are going to flip when you see what's in this. Now the XP pan is a little bit difficult because it's got this nipple at the bottom, but look at what is sitting in that nipple. Oh my word. If that is not one of the nicest first pan pickers ever. Oh, but I've stuffed up because that means that I'm not going to get any gold for the rest of the day. I've peaked early. So I cleaned that whole pan down to just the gold in a few minutes. That is a nice piece, and it's got some shape about it too, which is awesome. And the best thing is, this pan being blue, get off my finger. This pan being blue, it gives you contrast to the gold, so it's easy to see. Can't have been that big, it fit up the snuffer bottle tube. It smells so nice. Oh yeah, there's coarse gold in here. Look at that. Look at that. And it all just sits down the bottom. That's unreal. Why is there so much gold here? That is unfreaking believable. These are the coarsest pieces I've seen on this creek. Done a couple more pans, and the thing that I kind of like and hate is this bottom nipple, because this little cup here catches all your gold, all your heavies. It's super simple to collect your gold with your snuffer bottle, but it also makes it a little bit harder just to pan it down to see what gold you've got. I've had to stick my finger in there and keep flicking it out, but then again, it might just be a practice thing. I thought I'd just try an unclassified pan and see how that went. Yeah, I lucked out. I told you I peaked too early. I told a lie. 1 nanodot. That little speck just there. I'm actually running the high banker today, and I just took a test pan down where my shovel is to make sure that my tailings weren't going to go back in on top of any good gold. And unfortunately, I've got to find a new tailings pond because that spec count is pretty freaking good. High banking away, and that came up on the shovel. Maybe Zoe won't think about saying yes to a proposal if I gave her a chunk this big.
Are you being serious?
Well, yeah. I don't want to show you too much of the high banking that we're doing today because this is going to be a separate video where we dig out an old river channel. What we're doing today is proving the ground, and we just did a little clean out of the top mat. We're not getting much gold because we got to reach the bedrock. Bedrock was quite deep. We've got water issues. There's stuff going on. Hence, forget it, just look at the gold. So you can see these pieces of gold are much coarser than what you'd normally see me dig out on this channel. And that bodes well because this is coming from the same spot I pulled that nice little picker from with the potato pan. I'm going to take a test pan from the very bottom just to see what's kind of floating around in there because the test pans we got this morning looked really good. Ooh. I need more water depth. Yeah? Yeah. Little bit. So up the top we're talking 1 or 2 nanodots, but this is off pretty close to the bottom, and we're talking 5 or 6 nice coarse pieces of gold. That is a really solid result. And the thing is, this river channel hasn't been worked. That's every man and his dogs hit the creek because that's where you go to use the water, but no one's come to the old river channel. So it's relatively untouched. I reckon working along it, and there's going to be a lot of work and probably a lot of future videos here, that we will find some really nice pieces. We did another run, only probably 30 or so shovels. Again, we're trying to just hunt the bottom because we know the bottom has nice coarse chunky stuff and everything above it just has really fine micro bits. Oh, look at this. I cannot wait to do a full session here on the bottom because if this is just the average spec size, there is going to be some really tasty boogers down there. And that was just from washing this piece of moss out. So whatever else is in the sluice is yet to be seen. Just taking a test pan from the bottom. We are really deep into the bedrock at the moment, so we have to keep testing because the gold doesn't always penetrate down to the very bottom of the broken bedrock because there's a lot of clay, and that's what we're finding. Alright, there's still good gold down there. Still real decent gold. The thing I'm really starting to not like so much about this pan is that the nipple at the bottom for test panning, I have to flick it out physically with my finger. I haven't yet discovered a way that I can tilt the pan to get the dirt to come out so I can just see the specks. It's a one extra little step, but it just sort of detracts from the experience that I was getting from the metal potato pans. For processing, it's great though, because all the gold's sitting in that nipple, you can just suck it up, you don't have to think about it. So, bit of give and take. This is definitely a pan about processing, not necessarily for testing. And that's the spec count we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces and about 3 or 4 nanodots. So that's still pretty high bankable. But the water is getting really high because it's got nowhere to go. So we might have to empty these ponds just so we can keep digging. dam is slowly but surely emptying of water so we can get some more dirt, but I am almost out of battery. So once we finish for today, I am going to take you guys home. We'll clean up the concentrates, we'll see what kind of gold we get, and I'll give you some thoughts on the blue XP potato pan. Sluice is all packed up. We didn't really work too much more after emptying the dam. We just did test pans. I cleaned out the matting, and holy moly, look at the size of those pieces. So that means that the bottom of this creek is going to have, or the old riverbed is going to have, some absolutely amazing pieces of gold on it. Right before I show you the gold we dug out of the ancient riverbed, I wanted to let you know about the special we've got on in my merch shop. If you buy a hat and a t-shirt at the same time, you'll get $5 off. The link for that is in the description below. This is the gold we managed to mine off the bottom of that ancient riverbed next to a Clash Guitars pick and a tiny fluorescent dinosaur for a bit of scale. A lot of the pieces of gold in this pan right now are extremely coarse. I mean, all the pieces actually have a 3D shape to them as opposed to the tiny little dots that I'm so used to digging out. And most of that came off the bottom. We have to move about 3 foot of overburden to reach the bottom, and when we hit it, the water table's there. So there's a few problems with getting this gold, but I think there's going to be some really tasty surprises down there once we figure out how to efficiently work it. But now it's time to get this on the scales. I'm going to guess 0.25. Leave your guess in the comments below. For once I was pretty close, 0.23. The XP pan actually comes with these tiny little vials with a really nice clip lid. They're plastic so they won't break, and it's a cool thing to store some of your gold in. Gold is currently 2,680 Australian dollars per ounce, making our take about 19 bucks worth, which isn't a lot of money, but we didn't process that much ground. Most of the gold is on the bottom. And the usual disclaimer of this is a hobby. It's a hobby that gives you cash back, and there's very few hobbies out there that you can say that. So it pretty much covered for our petrol for the day and a little bit of our food. As for the potato pan, I have now worked my way through all of the commercially available ones that you can buy. And they pretty much all have their pros and cons. The original Aussie gold ones are quite deep and require a lot of water, and I don't quite like the angle that they're on, but they are harder to stuff up. So when you're doing your swirling action, it's unlikely you're going to blow your gold away unless you do something really dumb. The flat version of their pan, the flatty, is really good. The angle is much shallower and it's far easier to use, and it's also a size that will comfortably fit within a backpack. The right pan from Placid Designs is about the same size as the XP potato pan, but because it's made of metal, it's a little heavier. If you can get past that and you're physically fit enough like I am to get out there and to be able to swirl that amount of dirt, or you're just comfortable in reducing the amount that you put in there in the first place, it is excellent. It is very hard to blow gold out of. It's quite enjoyable to use. You don't need too much water to get that flat pan working because the angles are quite shallow. However, being metal, after a while, it basically comes to a mirror polish and it's a little bit hard to see your gold. Just like the ones from Aussie Gold, which means you have to refire them to get that contrast back. The XP pan is the modern take on these steel pans. The plastic design is far lighter, and the honeycomb core that it's got in it actually makes it float, which takes some of the weight away when you put it in the water. So you can load it up with dirt, and even if you aren't physically strong enough, you should be able to swirl that bad boy no problems at all. But it has the opposite effect of when you're cleaning your cons down, it tends to float a little bit. It's a little bit harder to get that nice motion to wash the dirt off the edge, but this is all technique stuff. The nipple at the bottom, fantastic for processing. All your gold and cons are down the bottom, you just suck it up. You don't even have to check. But for prospecting, it means you got to take a little bit of extra time to flick that dirt out and have a look at what is in there so you know whether or not the spot's worth working. It doesn't fit in a backpack because it is quite large, and it doesn't have a carabiner hole built into it. I can drill one in it, but it doesn't come with one. Therefore you have to carry it, and I always find that kind of cumbersome. If you're making a pan, you should have a way of either putting it in or attaching it to a pack. And the same goes for the metal versions of this pan. Ooh. The texture on the actual surface of the plastic is great. It is like a gold magnet. Gold is very hard to wash off that plastic, whilst everything else does sort of just scoot over the top. Unlike the metal pans where you have to be a little bit more careful, although I found because of the weight of the metal pans, it's a bit easier to control the motions to wash the blondes off. And of course the XP kit comes with a heap of accessories, including a classifier, magnifying glass, jars to store your gold in, and a snuffer bottle, all of which I have found fantastic so far. The biggest drawback though is the depth of water. I had to use the most amount of water using this pan compared to any of the other potato pans that I have been using. Now I am going to be giving away one of these XP pans, as well as 2 of their XP regular panning kits. This competition is coming up in the near future, so if you don't want to miss out on that, please hit the subscribe button and the bell in the bottom corner so you don't miss out on any future notifications for videos coming up, and that way you'll be able to enter. And that brings us to the end of this little saute. I hope you enjoyed watching the XP potato pan in action, and it gave you something to think about what you would like for Christmas. Like that smash button if that is something that you're into. Give this video a share with your friends to increase the gold fever around the world. Give your dog a scratch behind the ears for me. Until next time, peace, and I am out. Grizzly, you're ridiculous. Oh, I can't even see this camera. Oh, I know, Rex.